And welcome back to Hannity. Now, over the weekend, outspoken comedian Bill Cosby authored a controversial opinion piece in the New York Post about the flaws of American communities today. And the former star of The Cosby Show, he's raising eyebrows for the op-ed in which he says we should all be more like Muslims. He wrote, quote, "I'm a Christian, but Muslims are misunderstood, intentionally misunderstood. We should all be more like them. They make sense, especially with their children. There's no other group like the black Muslims who put so much effort into teaching children the right things. They don't smoke, they don't drink or overindulge in alcohol. They protect their women, they command respect. And what do these other people do? They complain about them. They criticize them. We'd be a better world if we emulated them." And needless to say, many people found his words troubling, and my next guest took to Twitter to express his disagreement with Cosby. Former Congressman Allan West tweeted, quote, "Today in the New York Post, Bill Cosby said we should be more like Muslims. You mean honor killings, beheadings, suicide bombings? Hope you're kidding, sir." Joining me now, former Florida Congressman and director of NextGeneration.tv, Fox News contributor, Colonel Allan West. Sir, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me on, Shawnee. How are you?
I was surprised by his comments. Tell me why you felt the need to respond.
Well, I think it's very important because we cannot allow people that are influential in our country, especially in the entertainment industry, to start putting out false information. I'll give you a great example. Today, as reported from Reuters and the Washington Times, Syrian Islamists kidnapped, tortured, and then executed a 15-year-old young Syrian boy in front of his mother and father just because he, quote-unquote, disrespected Muhammad by saying that he did not want to be a believer. And we know that if you choose not to be a believer, that's apostasy, and he was killed. You know, those are not the type of things that are in keeping with Western civilization values. When you talk about black Muslims, let's also remember the Nigerians who brutally and savagely attacked and beheaded the young British soldier Lee Rigby, I believe, and they were from Nigeria. Look up the group, the terrorist group Boko Haram, and the things that they are doing to Christians in Nigeria, the Easter attacks, the Christmas Day attacks, but yet the Obama administration does not put Boko Haram on the terrorist list. And then, of course, in the United States of America, we've had a series of honor killings that have occurred. The father that backed over his daughter in Arizona, the other father who shot his two daughters in Texas in a cab, and then in Jonesboro, Georgia, a father who strangled his young daughter. So I don't think that's very keeping with the right type of family values that we endear here in the United States of America and in Western civilization.
I was particularly disturbed by his comments about how they protect their women. How do you view women as being treated in Muslim countries?
Well, it's very simple. When you understand that in the Quran you are, sanctioned to beat your wife. But having been over in the Middle East, I saw countless amounts of times of women being attacked and beaten. We know many times the Taliban was throwing acid on young girls who were trying to go to school. We know about the young girl in Pakistan who was attacked by the Pakistani Taliban, and she was shot in the head simply because she had spoken out about young girls getting an education. So again, I don't know where Mr. Cosby is getting his information from because I'm speaking about facts.
Well, do they protect their women? I know that some Muslim countries you need 4 male eyewitnesses to prove rape. Is that protecting women?
No, that's not, and that's one of the traditions of Muhammad that is carried on, and of course they see him as the premier individual to emulate. But when you look at some of the things that in his history, when you study the hadiths, the traditions of Muhammad, you see some very reprehensible behavior, to include modern day pedophilia, and I think some psychopathic, sociopathic type of behavior. And let's be very honest, this gentleman was nothing more than a very vicious warlord.
Yeah. What are the things, I mean, Saudi Arabia, women can't drive. They have the morality police. Women can't be seen outside the home with men that they're not related to. But what about the issue of women having to cover themselves? That doesn't sound like the freedom that we give women here in America.
No, you have women that have to cover themselves, and also in Saudi Arabia, you had a school of women that were left to burn to death because they were not allowed outside by the morality police because they were not properly dressed. And let's not forget about genital mutilation in the Islamic world. So when you talk about a war on women, I think we know exactly where we should be looking, and that is truly in the institution of Sharia law, which is part of the tenets of Islam.
All right. Allan West, Colonel West, good to see you, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Sean.
Coming up next.